today is the last day that I am with the Bigma today, the 60-600, and I am hoping to be able to capture a few planets. Take a look over here. We've got Saturn right up over here. We got a bunch. We got Pluto in the sky, we got Saturn, we got Neptune, Jupiter, and Venus. So let's try to capture all of these guys. Hey folks, welcome. My name is Belal Khan, coming at you from Space City, aka Houston. This is my last day with the Bigma here. This is Sigma 60-600. This is the day after the good old lunar eclipse that we had the other day. The moon is actually setting right now, as you can see here. And then we've got a few other things in the sky. If we take a look over here, we've got Saturn. So the bright one is Venus. Then we got Jupiter, Neptune. Uranus is Uranus, if that's I don't know what the correct pronunciation is. Uranus is rising, and then we're gonna have the sun rising real quick. While we're doing this, I'm actually gonna be sharing some of my thoughts. We'll be, I guess, kind of pseudo reviewing the Sigma with each step. So here we go. Here's the moon. So in this category of lenses, what is this typically used for? So it is a wildlife lens. I'm not doing that unless celestial objects is wildlife. But if people use it for bird watching, things like that, maybe spying, moon watching, that's what it's typically used for. And these lenses tend to be quite expensive. One of the reasons I was looking for this particular lens is because of the fact that Sigma is very well known to be compatible with other brands, and it rivals in terms of optical quality the top players in the game, including Canon. This is the essence of this lens, to be able to get that far-reaching distance objects and get really up close and personal. And this lens, again, is it is the best in class as far as I understand, especially being able to get to 600 millimeters. Oh, I'm not even at 600. Bam! Now I'm at 600. Otherwise, I would need like a telescope to be able to capture images of the moon as such. It's amazing how, like, in real time, you're watching the moon set. This is so dope. Now, whenever you want to capture objects like the moon, in terms of the shutter speed, you can actually go a little bit lower. There's a rule called the 300 rule, especially with a crop sensor lens. So you take the number 300, you divide it by the focal length. So in this case, I'm at 600. So that means if I wanted to get a decent image, I take, so 300 divided by 600 is 0.5 essentially. That means the longest shutter speed I can use is half a second. I'm actually pointing this right through the trees. That's why you see some of that blurriness, but this is the image I got. So what I want to do is actually I want to look at Jupiter first, because I know I've had success with Jupiter before. That is Jupiter. And boom. Crank it down. If I were to, oh wait. Whoa, ho, I think I'm seeing some of those the banding of, wow, I'm actually seeing some of the banding that Jupiter has. Oh, that's ridiculous. Whoa, I never seen this. I think this is the first right here. Seeing some of the banding of Jupiter. Hold on. I need to oh, I lost it. So there you go. Look at that. We're seeing the bands of Jupiter. I'm at 5.6. What if I were to, can I tighten this up? Did I mount this thing on right? Now we're at wide open 5.6. Wow, that's crazy. Yo, this is, but yeah, man, this is awesome. Let's see how much closer I can get. So here's Jupiter in the distance. Let's pull right into it, nice and tight. Boom, there you go. Now you're starting to see some stuff here. All right, so you already see Jupiter and some of its moons just as is. Now the question is, for whom is this class of lens for? The super telephoto zoom lens specifically, not even just regular lens, but zoom lens. It's for anybody who wants to capture stuff in the distance, as I'm doing right now. I don't know if I'll be able to see the bands of Jupiter or anything. But this is as close as I can get. It's one of those things where I might have to crop in digitally. Now let's bring that ISO down to, let's say, all the way down to 125. Right, boom, we got ISO 125, and I'm going to digitally crop. Do you guys notice anything? I might just comment on this later in the edit, and then at the same time, if I bring that shutter speed back up to 1/4, boom, this is what that is. You can see some of the stars, you can see some of the moons. Now if I'm looking for Saturn, I know it's like right here from this point, and I go straight up. There you go, now I see it. There's Saturn, dead center in my scope, and zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, and here we are. This is Saturn. Let's bring that shutter speed open all the way, and let's bring that ISO down and get this to be as clear of an image possible. This is the lowest ISO setting, and here we go, guys. This is Saturn. Do you see anything? I don't. all I see is a dot in my screen. So comment below if you see anything. As you notice, the sky is actually getting a little bit brighter, and that's because the sun is starting to rise. Now, one of the things I really like about this lens is like it's sturdy, man. It's a beast. It is a big mouth for sure. The one thing though that I noticed that was a little bit interesting, or rather a little bit challenging, is the fact that the zoom barrel is tight. Like it is tight. It's not easy to, like, you've really gotta, right? Like right now it's actually smooth. Oh, yeah, actually, you know what it is? It's because there's so much glass pulling back, especially when it's pointing down. But then when it comes to now, I'm pushing against gravity, so it's all those elements that I gotta move. And there we go. I just lost Saturn for a second there. There you go. Let's take a look at, so I want to show you how this looks with regards to if I'm going to handhold and stabilize this. So this thing here, actually, you can adjust the tripod collar. One of the things I did appreciate about this when I took this out to the aquarium with family, just the briefcase holding this thing. Hey, good morning.
Beautiful.
Yes. So we got the moon right here. Hand holding the shot of the moon. Full 600mm capture. All right. Watch what happens when I. So this is with the stabilization off. That's with the stabilization on. And I guess at 600mm, hand holding doesn't make much of a difference. I mean, I guess a handheld stabilization is going to be good only up until a certain degree. After that, you need like a heavy-duty tripod. But yeah, if you're going to handhold a lens like this, this is the heaviest lens that I have ever dealt with. And the best part is, this is probably not the heaviest in its class either, right? What if I were to try to focus on something in the distance, right? So right now, if I were to look at this is a 50mm or 60mm without stabilization. Right, just me trying to hand hold it. I'm trying to pan, whatnot. Now, if I were to go ahead and turn on OIS, that's what this is what this image would look like. Like right away, I see the difference. Now, if I go to say 100mm, so let's go to 150. So this is what it looks like when I'm on the trees, hand holding it. You know, and it's all like super kind of super shaky. Now let's go ahead and turn on the stabilization, and boom, here we go. Boom, you can see that. So let's bring this up to say 300. This is what it looks like. So if I were to go from one set of trees and try to focus on another set of trees in the distance, right, come back, focus on another set of trees. If I were to turn on stabilization to setting 1, boom. Yo. This is awesome. Get those trees in focus again. Right? I'm manually focusing, just an FYI. Yeah, this stabilization is dope. Let's try this at 600mm. Bam! The distance between 300 and 600 physically is not that much, but it's actually double the focal length. So trying to focus here. All right, so, and now let's go ahead and turn on stabilization. Wow, even hand holding it, it's a little bit harder. But if I were trying to capture a bird or a squirrel or something in the distance, dang. Oh, that's stable. So that's me at number 2. But that's number 1. Again, this is me without it. This is me with it. Bam! Some final thoughts with regards to this lens. Is it worth $2,000 or maybe even $1,800 if you can get it used and whatnot? Well, let's look at our options, right? From what I read, Sigma also makes an alternative, contemporary and sport. So this is a sport class lens. I guess it's their top of the line, made for wildlife and sport, right? That's what this one is. They also make a 150 to 600mm. This is 60 to 600. The difference is in regards to the minimum focusing distance in terms of being able to operate that lens. Alternative outside of Sigma is Canon, right? You have the Canon 100-400 is a push-pull lens, and the 100-400 Mark II, which I've rented in the past, it's an amazing lens. Now, this is like almost $2,000, right? The 100-400 push-pull lens is about $750, so less than half the price. So what do you lose when you pay less than half? Well, the reach, right? You don't get the 600mm. Now, the extra 200mm reach in the long end may not matter in the area of like hand-holding activities and on-the-ground activities, but if you're talking in regards to like the moon and things like that, like I noticed there was a difference, right? I noticed there was a difference in regards to especially capturing the moon, the amount of detail I can get. If I'm doing like, if I'm trying to capture the moon and the various phases of the moon, I would want the 600. Right now, one option is, hey, what if you were to get an extra teleconverter, get like a 1.4x teleconverter on the 400mm and see if you can capture some of that. I most certainly could, but then anytime you add a glass element, you're gonna lose image quality. Versus, actually, you know what's funny? I just realized this is mounted upside down, and boom, there we go. Right. So yeah, being like right now, I'm going against gravity. It's a lot of, but going with gravity is easier to push. Just, you know, physics. I know on the 100-400 Mark II, there's a knob you can even loosen to make this whole thing a lot easier. Sigma also makes a older version of this, the 50-500. I'm told is good, but the image stabilization isn't as good. Autofocus isn't as good. It's not backwards compatible with regards to autofocusing and things like that with the MC11, and that autofocus came in clutch, because one of the hardest things to do when you don't have a big screen, especially looking at the moon and whatnot, is making sure that your focus is right. And autofocus, I love autofocus. Autofocus is great, makes life a lot easier. What if you were to go super cheap? Like, I bought a Tokina, a vintage Tokina 400mm F4.5 lens, and I've shot the moon with that. The problem is that lens is decent optically. Bring it down to f8, it's as clean as this, and even on this I was shooting at f8 and f11 to get the sharpest image possible. But the challenge with that lens is that the lens collar is no good. It's got no image stabilization, and I spent $100 on the lens to understand and learn about what are the things that I wanted, that I found of value. And for a lens, when you pass 300mm, without a doubt you need image stabilization. I would not consider a super telephoto lens, except that you have some sort of image stabilization. Now, I mentioned before, like, you got a tripod, right? You can turn off the image stabilization with the tripod for sure, but the lens collar on that thing is not tight. I can tighten it, but just anytime I move it, it just kind of gets loose again. That's it. This is my review and first impressions of the Sigma 60-600. This, I would add this to my bucket list of lenses to add to my collection eventually, for sure. I can see myself having a 100-400 and the 60-600, but if I wanted to go on a trip, if I wanted to, you know, chase that dream of capturing the stars in the sky above the clouds without anything, I'm thinking like, you know, the Rockies or Denver or somewhere like that, you know, up with the clouds, the family stargazing. This would be one of the lenses that I would want to have with me. Maybe I'd rent it, most likely, but yeah. I would want to have this lens. I would probably also want to have a Sigma 14mm f1.4. Those are two lenses on the extreme ends that I would want to have. That's probably a lens I may want to check out for the future. Hope you guys enjoyed this. My name is Belal Khan, marketer by profession, media by passion, coming at you from Space City, aka Houston. If you enjoyed this, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I'll see you soon.